giving honor to God, Apostle Didi, all ministers, and all to whom honor is due. God is truly worthy to be praised this morning. Praying God for a little energy this morning. I'm a little tired. I didn't sleep well last night, but God is still good. He is still good and still worthy to be praised. This morning, I am going to kind of come from a continuation of where I left off from last week. Last week, I talked, relax, God got you, for He is Jehovah Nisi. This week, I'm going to, same topic, just a little change in this relax, God got you. Calm down and pay attention. Relax, God got you. Calm down and pay attention. People of God, it's time for us. We have to pay attention. Pay attention to instructions. Pay attention to what God is saying to us. Do not run ahead of him. Do not assume you know what God is doing, but in all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. Always seek wisdom, always seek insight, always seek direction from God, because it is critical that we do so. And we're going to speak on that today. So here, still dealing with Moses and the children of Israel in the wilderness. Turn with me to Numbers 20. Numbers 20, starting at verse 1. And I'll let you know when I'm going to end. Numbers 20, verse 1 through 13. So number 20, verse 1 through 13. So here we go. And if those who were in service or listen to service, this sounds very familiar, but yet here it is 37 years later, but yet here we are. In the first month, the whole Israelite community arrived at the desert of Zin, and they stayed at Kadesh. There, Miriam died and was buried. Now, there was no water for the community, and the people gathered in opposition to Moses and Aaron. They quarreled with Moses and said, "If only we had died when our brothers fell dead before the Lord. Why did you bring the Lord's community into this wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here? Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to this terrible place? It has no grain or figs, grapevines or pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance of the tent of the meeting and fell face down. And the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord said to Moses, "Take the staff, and you and your brother Aaron gather the assembly together. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will pour out its water. You will bring water out of the rock for the community so that they and their livestock can drink." So Moses took the staff from the Lord's presence, just as he commanded him. He and Aaron gathered the assembly together in front of the rock. And Moses said to them, "Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock?" Then Moses raised his hand and struck the rock twice with his staff. Water gushed out, and the community and their livestock drank. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me enough to honor me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I gave them." These were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord and where he was proved holy among them. To God be the glory. So here we have Moses faced with a very similar situation. In Exodus 17, Moses faced the same situation where the people were in a different desert, traveling someplace. They camped out and they quarreled because there was no water. They grumbled because there was no water. And this is after God has shown himself mighty, had parted the Red Sea, had made provisions for them, but yet they was quarreling and grumbling. And so Moses, by the instructions of the Lord at that time, and I'm going to read, starting at, so this is Exodus 17, starting at verse 3. But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt and make our children and our livestock die of thirst?" Sounds very familiar. Now, mind you, in Numbers, that's like 37 years later. But here we go. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord answers Moses, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders in Israel, and take your hand, the staff with you, and strike the Nile, and go, and I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out for the people to drink." So here, God specifically, gave Moses specific instructions, and he did it. And he told him to strike the rock and water will come out, right? So here we have Moses now in Numbers 20. It appears to be a very similar situation, right? Very similar. So Moses already went to God and saying, "God, these people are grumbling." God gave Moses specific instructions as he did before. But Moses now was so upset with the people, Moses kind of got caught up, because now that we're in Numbers, the people who were complaining in Exodus 17, a lot of them had died off. And the reason why a lot of them had died off and wasn't able to see the promised land, because of their grumbling, because of their mumbling, because of them not trusting God, because of God, even though he kept providing, even though he kept giving them chances, they kept grumbling and mumbling. So God said, "You know what? You're not going to the promised land. You're going to be here a little longer, and prayerfully the next generation, because you still are my chosen people. You still have a plan. There's still some things I want to do. So I'm not just going to totally just discount someone getting into the promised land, but you're not getting there. Your children are going to get there." One will hope that the stories was passed down saying, "Hey, God provided for us and all these different things." And I'm sure they did, because that's the normal customs, right? They go and they tell the stories, and that's pretty much how the word got passed along, right? They start telling the stories of everything that God did. So the children was not unfamiliar with the provisions. The children was not unfamiliar that God parted the Red Sea and have them to part. And I'm sure they even heard the story, and someone was rejoicing of when the bitter water God made sweet. And when there was no water and they thought, then God made water. And then when there was no food and they were in a desert where there was nothing, God gave them food in plenty, where there was an overflow of food that just came out every morning and dew to quench their thirst. So I'm sure they heard of all of this, but yet here we are, still mumbling, still complaining to the people, to Moses, and just saying, "Why did you bring us here? Relax." It's like God got you. God got you. And so many of us, we go through situations and, where it's good. You know what? It's kind of like, you get all the praises and everything, everything. And, you're as good as the last good thing you did, right? Soon as something go wrong, you're just like, wait a minute, but you don't remember all the good stuff? No, all I remember is right now, right? Because this is the right now. But you don't remember, don't you think I'm going to come through? How many of us have been victim of that, right? Like, oh, so all you're remembering, you ain't remembering all the good stuff. You just remember this one thing, right? How many, you've done that to people and people have done that to you. Do you like it? No. And at some point there should be some level of trustworthiness, right? Like, okay, I know you're going to do it because you've done it before, you've done it before, you've done it before. This is where the people of God should have been. So now we have Moses. So now Moses is here. And so he's dealing with it. And Moses is a little frustrated, right? Because he's like, oh, so now I got a whole new generation, 30 something years later, and these people are still ready to like come for me big time because they don't have any water. God provided for them. And they fell on their face like, oh my goodness, God, what am I going to do? So God gave Moses instructions on what to do, right? So Moses now is in his feelings a little bit. And so God specifically told him, speak to the rock and water will come forth. What did Moses do? Moses instead begins to speak to the people. He begins to speak to the people and say, what am I going to do with you rebels? Let me see, where's that verse at? Listen, you rebels, must we bring you water out of this rock? So now Moses is all upset. And he was like, what me and Aaron going to do? First of all, so now Moses is all taking it on himself. It's not God who's done this marvelous thing. Moses kind of taking this on. And then he got so caught up in his feelings, right? That he was like, okay, I was in this situation before. I know, and I don't know, like the Bible doesn't say, so I'm not going to add to it, but we know that God specifically told him to speak, right? So when you do a study on this verse, right? Some people say, okay, what happened here? What happened here with Moses? Because some people will say, well, gosh, the people still got water, right? He still went before God and asked for directions. That's kind of harsh that God didn't allow Moses not to enter into the promised land. What is going on? So here, Moses is so upset with these people because here they are again, not believing what it is that God is saying. And lo and behold, Moses should have checked himself as well. Because here we have Moses, right? Now Moses had some issues that he dealt with. And one of the things that Moses dealt with was anger, right? He had some anger issues. We know that from in Exodus, in the beginning of Exodus, when he was traveling and he saw one of the Egyptians mistreating one of the Hebrew slaves, right? So Moses killed him. He got into a rush like, leave him alone. And he killed him with bare hands. Then he had to go off into hiding because of that. Now, God does not condone killing or anything like that. That's something Moses should not have done. Moses was regretful and everything. God forgiven him for that. But that's something that Moses had to like, hey, that's in you, Moses. You know, we got to work on this. And so Moses didn't realize that I not only had the people of Israel in the wilderness and had them going through different exercises and different things, because again, remember I read the scripture in 1 Peter, how you need to add on to your character, patience, endurance, love, all these different things, right? And not only was I working on them, but most I was working on you, because there's some stuff in you that you still need to get out. There's some things in you that you don't realize is there, and I'm trying to show you how it is and what your temperament should be. But Moses not realizing that that's still there, that situation is still there. And then Moses now, and we have to be careful with this. God gives us specific instructions on what to do. And you have to understand that God is a very purposeful God. There's a meaning, there's a reason for everything that he tells us to do. It's not by circumstance that he just says, do this in this particular order. You'll be like, well, it's just a little thing. No, little to you, but big to God, because you have no idea what I have. You don't have no idea what you doing this move, exactly what the cause and effect is going to be, the domino effect of your action that I'm trying to specifically tell you to do, right? And we can even think about that before we go on with this story in Exodus, where God gave Moses specific instructions, right? He gave him specific instructions when dealing with the tabernacle, right? And when the tabernacle was erected, Moses was instructed to put things in a certain order, right? The curtains and the veil and the lampstand and the altar and the basin and the table were all to be just so as God has commanded. You know why? Because each thing had a meaning that extended past itself, right? There was, remember when we say God's word is deep and it's rich and it's embedded, like it's not just the lampstand, it's not just placing it there, it has a deeper meaning. And we're going to be able to go back and reference that because you did exactly this the way I told you to do it, the way it was instructed, right? And so Moses not realizing this, like God gives instructions, and when I tell you to do something, do it the way I said to do it at that moment. So now let's go back to Numbers 20. So, well, Moses is probably thinking, well, I hit the rock before. So he just instinctively just went and first he allowed his emotions, right, to get in the way. And then after that, he was like, oh, let me just get these people this water. And then just automatically go back to what worked before and what he did before. And he hit the rock. And in Angle, he even hit it twice, right? And God said, did I tell you to hit the rock? See, did you not believe that you just speaking, that you had to do the same thing that you did before? Did you not believe that you can just speak to that thing and it will happen? Now you have to take some action, that there's something that you have to do, like some physical thing that you actually have to do. And so many times, so many things in our life that, you know, God, there's seasons, right? And there's things and there's a growth and there's a progression. So there's one time God may instruct you to do one thing and to handle it a different way, to handle it a certain way. But the reason why he's telling you that, you're thinking, oh, this must be how I'm going to handle this situation from now on. No. I'm building you up. I'm building up your confidence. I'm building up instructions. I'm building up certain characteristics and things in you. So later on, you're going to be able to have more power. You're going to be able to have more authority and all these different things. But it's going to be a progression that's going to happen, right? So what you may have to do in one situation is not necessarily what you're going to have to do in another. And this is what happened with Moses. One, Moses had some stuff in him that still had to get out that he didn't realize. Does that sound like a resounding message to New Life Now, church? There's some stuff that we still got to get out. There's some things in us, generational curses. It's been preached over and over again to tear down the generational curses. And that's an important thing, to look at your bloodline and see what's going on, see what happened in your family, because there's some things that's affecting you that need to get out. And that's important that you do that, because it's going to affect some future decisions, and it's affecting decisions that you're making now. And God is trying to get those things out of you, because you don't want to be like Moses and be acting on emotions or responding in a wrong way because of some other things that's there that you didn't realize was still there. And you may realize that you're still dealing with a temper or anger issue, or you're still dealing with unforgiveness or different things, or you thought you was doing good, but now you still got some pride in you, or you're still dealing with some self-esteem issues, and God is trying to build you up, because there's a time when you're going to be able, he's going to come, he's going to have you work, he's going to have you do a mighty thing. And not only that what your actions that you take is, people are looking, is going to mean something more, and it's going to be a trickle down to other things. So you need to respond specifically how God tells you to respond, and not say that, oh, it's just a minor thing and I still did it and I got the results. No, you have to respond the way God tells you to respond during that time, in that season. Every portion of your life is different, and how you respond and how you react is going to be different. God is saying to his people here is that you cannot become so familiar with me that you begin to get ahead of me. You cannot become so familiar with me that you don't regard me, that you say, oh, yeah, I've been through this. I know what to do. Oh, yeah. I've been through the situation. Remember when such and such happened and we did X, Y, Z? And so, and God is all the while is trying to give instructions. And then there's some other stuff that happens too, is in the midst of all of this, you go to God and you pray to God and you say, God, what is going on? All these different things. You're asking God what is going on, but in the background, in your head, you're frustrated that it's going on to begin with. So it's God, what is going on? But in your head, it's because I'm so frustrated. It's like you're speaking internally and outwardly saying, God, what's going on? I need to get your direction. I need to hear from you because this situation they come up again. This is what you're saying outwardly, but internally you're saying, I'm so daggone frustrated. I can't believe this is happening again. I can't believe I'm facing this situation once again. Here I am, Lord. What am I going to do with this situation again? I know you did it before. I know you did it again. I know you did it again. And at this point, it's been 36 years. So now Moses is like, yo, I'm tired. I just want to get to the promised land now. Come on, man. Now I'm dealing with them complaining and all this other stuff again. I just want to get there, but I know I'm supposed to go to God. I know I'm supposed to petition to God and say, God, these people are coming to me again. Let me do it. So I'm going to do that because that's what I know I'm supposed to do. Been around there, done that before, been there, done that. And so it's kind of like he's listening and he went to God, but did he fully hear and did he fully grasp specifically what God has told him for? Now, in every other situation, Moses did specifically what God has told him to do. With the tabernacle, he just very meticulously put everything in place where God has told him to place. Even it was with, it has to be, let me get the ruler, because even it was like, it has to be 1 centimeter in, this amount of space apart, and just like that. And you know, he went there and he measured, and it was like, someone probably said, no. He's like, because God said this, and that, because this was still early on. And then even though Moses may have felt a little bit, he was like, no, God, I'm still trusting you. I'm still trusting you. I'm still trusting you. But here we are, 36 years later, we're still in this wilderness. And here I am dealing with something that I dealt with like year 1. Come on, God, what is going on? Can I get to the promised land? Can I get to the promised land? And so many of us, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss it, people of God, because the promised land, trust me, is right there. And God, again, he's testing his people. He's making sure, and he's making sure that Moses is ready, and he's going to be the one that's truly in place to lead the people when they get to the promised land, because there's going to be some instruction. You can't get caught up in your emotions. You got to get everything out. You have to learn the lessons that you need to learn, because it's going to be a building block of different things. So when God says, get rid of the generational curses, start breaking a list and breaking down the generational curses, because it's a building block for something else that God is trying to do. When God says, examine yourself and get everything out of you, there's a reason why he's doing that. It's not because he want to get mean. It's not because he wants apostle to expose you. It's not because he wants to embarrass you. It's because there's a building block of different things that is to come, and you need this to get to that. Right? You need to be able to add and subtract before you can do algebra. You can't do algebra if you haven't mastered addition and subtraction, right? You can't do multiplication until you master subtraction and addition. So there's a building block in this thing. Everything is a progression, right? You can't run before you can walk. You have to learn how to move your feet before you can walk, right? You can't just start speaking in sentences before you even were able to form a word. You have to be, it's a progression. Life is a progression. It's not just going to jump. There's some things you have to do. There's some work you're going to have to put in. There's some learning, there's some training, there's some stuff that you have to do. But here again, we have Moses now, that is now, and this is Moses, this is the great man of God, the man of faith who paid attention. So we have Moses here that now cannot go into the promised land. And it's because he did not follow particular instructions. And God said, this is bigger. This is bigger, this is bigger, this is bigger than you. Because you don't even understand. Remember when we saying with the temple that it was supposed to be like a deeper meeting? So the striking the stone once was going to be and was supposed to be a foreshadowing of Christ. And that, you know, everything that you're going through, one strike, one strike, and it's all going to be erased. It's all going to be done. Your problems and all your woes. Because what? Christ only had to die once to get rid of everything, to get rid of all our sins, to do everything, right? Moses didn't even see the deeper meaning and what God was even setting him up and using him for. So you don't even understand that when God is telling you he's doing you specific, this is not a big deal, God. I don't understand. I just did that. Well, I was just a little uncomfortable. I was a little unsure. So I just pushed, you know, a little bit, or, you know, I just, you know, I know you just told me to just pray on it and it would happen. But I said, let me just call them too and say this, or that, or let me send this reminder, or let me do it. Did I tell you to do all of that? Didn't I tell you to just pray on it and leave it there and watch me work a mighty and wonderful thing? Did I tell you to do any extra thing? Did I tell you? Well, last time when I did that, it worked out. That's not what I'm telling you to do this time. It's not going to work out for you this time because that's not the instructions that I have. Do you understand? God is very specific in what it is that he's telling you to do. Because again, we have to remember that everything that we do, right? God works on us, right? And he helps us, but then it's not just about us, it's about others as well. You don't even understand that he's placing you in positions, he's setting you up, and he's doing things for you. So then you don't even realize the people who are looking at you. You don't even realize the people that is seeing that example of the things of what God has done and what God has done in your life, because you follow specific instructions. You finally decided that I'm going to listen to God in everything that I do. So it's not just a little thing. Sweet people of God, say to me again, say with me, there is no little thing to God. Everything has a meaning. Everything has a purpose. Nothing is just a little minor thing. Nothing is just a little minor thing. Everything, God is a very intentional God. So he intentionally tells you to do something for a very specific reason. So now we have Moses here that cannot go into the promised land. No, sir, no, sir, no, sir. You cannot go into the promised land. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. So much so we have Moses now that's now going on and doing his work. We're in Deuteronomy 3 and verse 23. And here he is speaking to, I'm not certain. I believe he's speaking to Joshua here, but he's given decree, right? And at the time, I pleaded with the Lord and said, "Oh, sovereign Lord, you have only begun to show your greatness and the strength of your hand to me, your servant. Is there any God in heaven or on earth who can perform such great mighty deeds as you do? Please let me cross the Jordan to see the wonderful land on the other side, the beautiful hill country and the Lebanon mountains." But the Lord was angry with me because of you, and he will not listen to me. "That's enough," he declared. "Speak of it no more. Don't ask me again. Don't ask me again. But go up to Pesha Peak and look over the land in every direction. Take a good look. But you may not cross the Jordan River. Instead, commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will lead the people across the Jordan. He will give them all the land you now see before you as a possession." So we stayed in a valley near Bethphor. So here, Moses even was regretful. He pleaded to God, "Oh God, oh God, oh God, please let me see the land." And God said, "Nope, don't speak of it anymore." But see, there's one thing though that Moses did honorably, right? So Moses now, how many of us in Moses' situation, now there's some things I'm just warning you, people of God, that God is giving you specific instructions on what it is that you should do. There's some things that are promised, there's some things that is lined up, and there's some things that is supposed to be for you. But if you do not pay attention, if you do not follow specific instructions, you are going to miss it. You are going to see it and not get it. And it will go to your children, it will go to someone else, but it will not go to you. So please, people of God, take heed. Take heed. And I said, you know, some people say, oh, Pastor Taylor, I said that right, Pastor Taylor, that's me. Okay. Oh, Pastor Taylor, I think God gave you a prophetic, you have prophetic, God speaks to you in certain things. I said, yeah, he does. No, I didn't say yeah. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah. And for me, I get frustrated because I'm like, Lord, you just got me speaking in riddles. I was like, I speak around something and give and allude to things and give riddles. I was like, but you don't give me specifics. You don't say, because you are doing X, Y, Z, and this, and that. And the Lord says, and people would say, well, Pastor Taylor, when you said that, what is that? I don't know. God just told me to say it, and I was obedient to say it. Well, what exactly did I do? I don't know, but you better pray to him, because that didn't just come from nowhere. He ain't just tell me to say it. So there's someone somewhere that's doing something. What you doing? I don't know. I don't know what you did. I don't know what it is specifically that God has told you to do, but I'm telling you right now, because I couldn't sleep last night and God was just speaking to me. And again, I was saying, well, who am I to say, well, I'm coming to deliver a prophetic sermon to you guys, that what worked before didn't work before. What worked once is not going to work now. So you better be very conscious to listen to instructions, because it's going to be a life or death situation. It's going to be a matter of if you make it or if you don't, if you get what God has intended for you to have, or if you don't. It may seem little, but I'm letting you know right now, people of God, is not little. Pay attention to specific instruction. If God tell you to move, then you move. If God tell you to go a little bit to the left, and you be like, well, I don't even see what's on the left, and what's the big difference? There's no difference. You better move to the left and say, I don't know why God told me to do it, but I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna be obedient to what it is that God would have me to do. So I want you to remember this sermon. I want you to remember God got me speaking in riddles to somebody today. And I know it's not just one person, but there are a lot of people here, because guess what? I'm looking at a lot of things, that promises that God has laid out. There's some things that you've been waiting for. There's some things that God has told you, and you, like Moses, it has been a long time. It has been a long amount of time that you've been dealing with this situation and dealing with the circumstances. And then it says, okay, God, I know what you're saying, but this particular situation don't look like nothing that I'm even close to getting to where you would have me to be. Matter of fact, it looked like I'm going to die in this situation. It looks like I am doomed to stay right here in this situation with no hope, because I can't see any means. Just like the people of Israel felt when they were there and there was no water. And even though they knew how God made provisions for them all before, they sat there and be like, I don't have any water. I don't have this. Lord, I don't have any finances. I don't have the education. I don't have the money. I don't have the friends. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have this. I don't have a car. I don't have this. I don't have that. Lord, I don't have this. We're not even getting along, and we're fighting. And you're saying that we're going to be blessed and all these different things. God, you said I'm going to be this. The doctor said my fallopian tubes are blocked. But God is saying all these different things. You said that I'm going to be able to do this, but my body is aching. I got this pain in my leg, and I got all these things going on, God. But you're saying all these things is going to happen, God, and I can't just see how it is that is going to happen, God. Why did you bring me here though far? Why did you make me hope so much for this? I've been waiting so long. And just when it seemed like it's promising, here I am again in a situation where it looks like it's just desperate. And here I am just here, and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, God, please, what am I supposed to do? And some of us are just like Moses. We're saying, God, what am I supposed to do in this situation? Because you know that, because you're people of God, and you know that you're supposed to trust God, you're supposed to reverence God. So you know the right thing to do is say, oh God, what am I supposed to do? God, what am I supposed to do in this situation? God, I need you to come through. So the words come out your mouth. See, I know what your words, but your heart is far from it. Because in your heart, you're frustrated. In your heart, you're saying, God, I can't take it no more. God, I'm tired. God, let me just strike this rock. Let me just do this because I don't want to be in this situation no more. I'm so frustrated with every situation, every circumstances. I'm frustrated with praying. I'm frustrated with dealing with the same situation again. I'm frustrated with hearing a word. I'm frustrated with even hearing about the promise one more time because I can't see it. And I just want to get out of this situation. I don't want to see nothing else but out. That's what I want to see. I want to see out. I don't want to see nothing else. And so here we have Moses that's here, and God is now dealing with Moses. But now there's a pivotal point here, is that now Moses has to make a decision, because Moses could have very well said, okay, so now I'm not getting on the promised land. Okay, you might as well get someone else to do it now. Because at the time when God told Moses that he wasn't going to the promised land in Numbers 20, he didn't necessarily tell him who it is that you're going to appoint or anything like that. He just said, oh no, you're not going. But I still got work for you to do. I still got this for you to do. You still got this to do. You still got this training to do with this person. You have this to do. You have that to do. So what did Moses do? Moses was at least Moses at that time, he still did what God did, what God told him to do. In spite of his disobedience, and God disciplined him, right? God disciplined him. Moses still stayed. He was still considered a friend of God. And you know why? It's because he took the punishment. And even when he tried, he still, because even when God told him to train up Joshua, guess what he did? He trained up Joshua. He continued to give instructions. He continued to do what it is that God would tell him to do. So here we have to be able to take discipline, right? And see, and a wonderful thing happened for Moses, right? Because Moses, even though he didn't see the promised land, he didn't reach over to the promised land, we know that he wasn't forgotten, and we know that he was still considered a faithful person of God, and he was still with God, so much so that when and John, if you turn with me to oh gosh, I don't have the verse for the transfiguration, right? The verse for the transfiguration, and there for the transfiguration, Matthew 17:3-5, right? So Jesus then, right? This is when he's predicting that he's going to not be around any longer, and he brought 3 of his disciples with him, right? And there they went up to the mountain, right? They went up to the mountain, and there is where Jesus transfigured. He kind of began to illuminate, and he began to show the magnificentness of who he was, that he was like, yes, I am the God, I am the Son of God. And not only that, as they were sitting there, and he begins to illuminate, who appears? But lo and behold, Moses appears, and also Elijah appears there, and they begin to speak and have a conversation with God. So see, even though Moses did not get to see the promised land, but you understand, people of God, that the most important thing is that he took a lesson. He was still obedient to God. He took the discipline that God had, and God still honored him, because we're living this life to what? Live again. And so we understand that even though that promise in the promised land, there was going to be a point in time where he was still going to have to die, and he still want to be able to see the Father again, right? And so here he is, because he was obedient, even during his being disciplined, that God still honored him, and he was still considered a wonderful man of God. He was still one of the few people that actually got to actually see and speak to God. So see, Moses, even though he had to go through that hard lesson, right? And it may have been a simple thing. He kept going on and trusting and believing God. But what are you doing, people of God, during this time? Because some of us, see, for some, this word is for those who, before you get to that point, and before I have to discipline you, God said, I need you to understand that all that stuff that's been leading up to this point, just like all that time that I had you in the wilderness, all those things and instructions, I was building up character, not only in the people, but in also in you. I was trying to teach you patience so you wouldn't have an outburst, so you will calm down and you will know that I'm going to speak to you. You're going to know that I'm giving instructions. And in spite of what the people do, I'm going to have you covered. But Moses still has some things to learn. So Moses still had to go through a process because God still wanted Moses to see him again, right? And see, so this message is for those where you're right at the point where it's going to be a pivotal time. It's going to be a pivotal time for you, and the decision that you make, because God is giving you or has given you or will give you specific instructions. It may not seem like it's that important. It may seem just like a little thing, but remember what it is. There's no little thing to God. God is very intentional. So you must do it precisely and exactly what he tells you to do. Well, I don't know the harm if I just would have called. Didn't I tell you not to call? Didn't I tell you not to do that? Didn't I tell you to leave it alone? Didn't I tell you I have it? Didn't I tell you I would work it out? Why are you interceding? Why? When I tell you to do something, you do it. Why don't you trust me? Why don't you believe me? So there are some where this word is, before it happens to you, I want you to take attention. I want you to pay attention. And then there's others where God is saying, okay, yes, you did not pay attention. You did not do what I told you to do. And you've been called out. Now, I still need you to get up. I need you to stop moping. I need you to not be embarrassed, because I'm still here to use you, and I still have a work for you to do. And there's still some stuff that you need to do, because I placed you here for a reason, and I'm not done with you yet. So I'm disciplining you for a reason. Hebrews 12. Let's turn with me to Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12 speaks specifically of why and when God disciplines his people. And I'm going to Hebrews 12, and I'm going to start at verse 4. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, my son, do not make lightly of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the ones he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we all have had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respect them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They discipline us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplined us for our good, in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained in by it. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may not be disabled, but rather healed. So here it is saying, listen, I'm disciplining you because there's a work. One, because I love you. One, because there's some work for you to do. And one, because I'm trying to get something out of you. If I don't discipline you, you're not gonna, you're not gonna learn. You think you can just get away. Just think about it, right? When you really paid attention to your parents, right? If you go, just imagine, right? If you go and you be like, but mommy, I'm so sorry. I don't do it anymore. And they say, all right. You can go. Let me tell you, I've seen those, and I've seen the kids talk. Girl, I'm gonna do this, but all I got to do is give her that. She loved when I cry. Oh, she can't handle it when I cry, so I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna do it again. I know exactly what to say. I'm gonna say this, and that, and he's gonna say yes, and then I'm gonna do it, and then I'm gonna come a different sort of way. So yeah, she disciplined me. So you're not really getting the benefit of the discipline. You're just learning how to make tricks. So this is why God was very specific with Moses. Even was like, God, please, but please, God, please. But I did all of this. I understand. But there's some consequences. You people, do you understand that there's consequences for things that you do? There's consequences. Now, listen, there's no condemnation. You're not condemned. See, and that's the beauty of it. Moses was not condemned for what it is that he done, so much so that he was part of the transfiguration. He was there having a whole conversation with Jesus, God, and Elijah. So he wasn't condemned, but he definitely suffered some consequences. So much so, it's kind of like when you know when I'm sorry, I just got to go with the analogy God given me, right? Because God put him up on a mountain and said, hey, look at that, but you ain't going there. Look at this mess. Now don't do it again, right? Pay attention. Don't do what I told you to do. And it made me think about like when you have pets and stuff and you put their nose in it, like right in it. See what you did? See what you did? That's what God did to Moses. See what you're missing? See, you're gonna miss all of that. Now go on and finish doing what I told you to do. And for some of us, we like, oh God, I ain't doing it now. What's the point? Then I might as well do X, Y, Z. And God is saying, okay, but you don't understand. There's still some stuff that I have for you. There's still some blessings because Moses still had some blessings that was still in store for him. There's still some blessings that was still, in spite of not seeing the promised land. So we, as people of God, we have to pay attention. Turn with me to John 15. And here we're talking about, in spite of, we still have to stay connected, right? This is the story of the vine and the branches. And it says, starting from verse 1, I am the true vine and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. You are already cleansed because of the word I have spoken to you. Remain in me and also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So here it's saying that God is you have to stay connected, right? You have to stay connected to God. But in that process of staying connected, he's cutting off everything that's unfruitful and not like me. That unfruitfulness and unlike me, that cutting off, that's that discipline that happens, right? That's that, okay, I'm cutting this off. I'm pulling this thing out of you. I'm pulling this thing out of you. If you think about it, right? Let's think about what pruning is and what cutting off is. It's taking a sharp instrument and slicing it. Do you think that is something that is going to be delightful? Is that going to be something that you enjoy? No. It is not something that you're going to enjoy or be delightful, but it's necessary. But the thing is, and through that whole process, you are only going to be fruitful. You are only going to be successful if you stay connected. So for those of you who is going through your discipline, those of you who are feeling the what you feel is the wrath of God, you need to reverse it. It's like, oh, he loves me. That's why this is happening to me. He loves me. That's why I am getting a little hand slap right now. He loves me. That's why Apostle Dee put all my business on Front Street and didn't just whisper in my ear. She had to say it out loud to everyone. Oh, it's because God loves me and he has a great work for me to do. He has a great work. Oh, he loves me. And this is true. And if you ever forget about it, look, just go to Hebrews 12 and remind yourself, God is disciplining me because he loves me. And he disciplined Moses because he loved him. he disciplined David because he loved him. Because even with David, and David was considered a great man of faith, but because of David's sins, his son that was born to Bathsheba, he died, and then he lost all of his other children too. His kingship was threatened a few times. He wasn't able to build the temple that he so wanted to build because of the sins and the things that God told him to not to do. And he just thought it wasn't a big deal. So God is saying, yes, it's going to happen, but not through you. It's going to happen through your bloodline, but not through you. But I still need you to still believe in me and trust in me, because there were still some things that David had to do as well. And so, people of God, I'm here to tell you right now, and this is my message to you, is that we have to not take for granted. We have to pay attention when God gives us instructions. We cannot say, well, it worked before, so I'm going to do that again. God is in a different season. Different things is working. And I just thought about so much of the uncertainty that's going on in this world, and so many things. And past jobs, I used to work in supply chain. Everyone hears about supply chain. Most people probably even know what supply chain was, or even knew so much about supply chain until all of these things is happening. But part of my job, and I was on the demand side, I was on the supply side. So what's the demand side? The demand side does the forecasting. The supply side does the ordering based on the forecast. So in order to make sure you have enough stuff in stock and to make sure that the stores are replenished and everything, they go by predictors. They go by things and patterns of what happened before. So they said, okay, it's predicted that it's going to be, like, for example, I used to do forecasting for Gatorade, right? So Gatorade sells different in the summertime than it does in the wintertime. But you have to say, oh, during this time last year, like say if I'm having a sale or something going on, I'm saying, okay, I need to look. Oh, it's going to be 90 degrees. Let me look for a time when it was 90 degrees. And so I now base my forecast and how much I'm going to bring in based on what happened before. And that way I'll know what to do. So that way, when things come in, it's pretty much, you can kind of go for that and you give a little buffer and you have enough product. And so you can go from that. But now supply chain is just all messed up. People don't know how to forecast because everything is so unprecedented. You can't go off of what you used to do before because people's buying habits are so different. People, the pandemic, people are overbuying things. So why don't we have any? I don't even understand why there's no toilet tissue. There's no rhyme or reason. So I don't know how much to buy. I thought I had enough based on this, and I go this pattern, but now here's something else that's happening. So that's what's happening in the supply chain, because now they can't go off of what normally happens. They can't go off of what they normally do. They can't go off of during this time in this season, when this happens, you put in this formula, you put in this algorithm, and boom, we should be able to have enough with a little buffer now, because things are all thrown off. And God is saying, in this, there's a season that you're walking into, and there's some things, and I'm telling you, you can't go off of how things worked before. You can't go off of what I did before, what I said before, because behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? I am making ways out of ways that you never done before. So this is something you never seen before. So you have to pay attention. You can say, oh yeah, I got this. I can do this. This is something I've done before. We're going to do X, Y, Z. Because I remember before we prayed and we shut in and we did this and this how it worked out. No, boo-boo, you can't do that because I'm doing something different, something totally different. So you need to pay attention. You can't just assume. You can't go and look back in your journal and in your prayer book and in your dream book and say, okay, God, I remember you did this, this, and that. This is something so different. This is something so unheard of that I don't even know of. This is why you need to pay attention. This is why you need to listen to my specific instructions. Forget everything. Forget the prior things, because behold, I am doing a new thing. Forget the prior things. Forget what worked before. Forget what you've done before. You need to retrain your mind. You need to get all of that out. It worked before. That was great. You paid attention. Good job. Now pay attention now. Don't try to do what you did before because it's not going to work. And some of you be like, oh, I did try to do it and it didn't work. Yeah, because God was trying to give you other instructions, but you were so busy running ahead of him. And he said, slow down, come here, relax, right? Relax. I got you. Calm down. Pay attention. Calm down, pay attention. Don't get so erratic. God, I don't know what to do. Da, 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 da. I'm trying to tell you what to do. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to look for directions. Trying to look everywhere for instructions as opposed to looking to me. Look to me and I'm going to give you instructions. Listen to me and I will tell you where to go. It don't make sense to you. Remember, I'm a God that's very deep. You don't understand me. My ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. You don't understand that a road that was closed before that I opened, that God, I went down there before. God is saying, go down this road. And the thing is that for some of us, I took that way before, God. I went that way before. I followed your instructions before. I said, okay, before, when I told you to go that way, see, here I go talking in riddles again. When I told you to go that way, when I told you to do that, see, I was building up what? Patience. I was building up endurance. I was building up all these different things that you need. So when it's really time for you to get through, because you wasn't really ready to go down that road, even though I had you walking down that road, even though it seemed like the road was going to be open, even it seemed like you was ready, you wasn't quite ready yet to go down that road and for it to be accessible to you. So matter of fact, but God, it wasn't just once, it was a couple of times because you wasn't ready yet. There was still something else. You built it. It was a building block. You built one thing and then you went down there. You built another thing and you went down there. You built another thing. But here we are again now. And now it's time for you. And you don't even realize that if you listen to my specific instructions now, if you get off your butt and stop moping and whining, saying, God, I don't want to go down this road again. I don't want to go through those emotions again. I don't want to feel that again. I don't want to hope for that again. I don't want to do that again. I don't want to open myself to all the work that I had to do and even to make it to the point that I was there before. You don't even understand that a lot of stuff that you went through, you're not going to even go through anymore if you just listen and you pay attention, because I'm a God that can do things. I'm a way maker. I'm a one that can make a path straight that may seem crooked. I'm the one that can open up doors that may appear to be closed and sealed because I have the key. And guess what? I have the key to everything. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. So I know all things. I am all things because who? I am who I am. Everything that you want, that's who I am. Everything that you need, that's who I am. That's who I will be. That's who I am if you acknowledge that who I am. I am Jehovah Nissi. I am your banner. I am the one that you should follow. I'm the one that you should get your direction for. I am the one that you should look for, because when you're trying to find something, you're looking for the banner and saying, where it is I should go. Oh, there's the banner. Oh, there's Jesus. There's Jesus in the midst of all of this. So I am the one in the midst of all of this, but you have to begin to look for me and not just assume that I'm not there. Because you know something, here it is, right? If there's a banner and you got a mountain to go over, if you got to go over the mountain, just think about it. And I wish I could have this analogy, right? If you're going over the mountain, on the other side, the banner is there, but you can't see the banner until you get to a certain point. And then when you get to a certain point is when you see the banner. But if you don't begin to run, if you don't begin to climb, if you don't begin to take the journey, you will never see the banner, and you will never see that, oh my goodness, God is in the midst. And there he is right there. I just had to keep on moving. I just had to keep on going. So I'm telling you, people of God, that take note from the people of Moses and the children of Israel, and keep going, keep doing, in spite of discipline, in spite of being frustrated, in spite of going down the same road, the same situation. After all this time, here you are again, and God have you facing the same situation. Know that God is meaningful, know that he is purposeful, and it could be the little smallest change that you might think it not make a difference, but it means all the difference in the world. And for Moses, that it meant all the difference in the world between speaking and tapping the rock. So doing specifically and exactly what it is that God will have you to do. Do not deviate. Do not go to the left. Do not go to the right. Do not call mommy and say, what should I do? Do not call daddy. Do not call your best friend. Don't call your pastor, but listen to what it is that God will have you to do. He didn't speak to he said, this right here, I'm not telling the prophets, I'm telling you. I'm speaking directly to you. I'm speaking directly to you so you can build up confidence, because guess what? You don't even know. I'm raising up in you to be the next prophet of the Lord. I'm raising up in you to be the next voice of the Lord. I'm raising up you to be the next leader. But all of this is I'm building up confidence in you. So people of God, take this word. Take this word. And it was that deep. It was that deep for Moses. Why he didn't, is that little thing. You can see now it was so deep. It was so deep. Metaphorically, it was so deep. Everything that he did. He didn't recognize God. He spoke on behalf of God as opposed to representing God when he spoke to the people. But the people still got honor and the people still got glory. In spite of what Moses didn't do. And see, that's the thing is, and you're thinking that maybe I'm successful in all these different things, and because there's still a purpose in the midst of everything that you're doing, but there's some consequences as well. And for some, like I said before you have to suffer the consequences, take heed. And for others, you are in the midst of your consequences. Take heed, keep moving, and still do, because there's still a work for you to do, and there's still some blessings in store for you if you take heed to what it is that God has you to do. To God be all the glory, to God be all the honor, to God be all the praises. I believe I am done. That is all that God will have me to say to you. But people, when God said move, move, and when God said don't, don't. So I love you. I honor you. I am so excited for what it is that God has for you. I'm so excited for the work that he has in store for you. I'm so excited that he used me as his vessel to deliver this word when some of you was on the verge of making the wrong decision or doing the wrong thing. I'm so excited for you, for the repentance and the renewal that's going to happen, for the taking in and being happy with your punishment, because even though Moses was did not obey God, he was still considered a friend of God. And God said, I still love you and I still want to be your friend. Would you be mine? To God be all the glory.